The Delta Center in Salt Lake City, where the Houston Rockets and Utah Jazz are getting ready for the 5th and deciding game in their Western Conference Series. We'll be back to the Delta Center for all the action in just a moment. From Salt Lake City, the Delta Center packed as the fans get revved up for this 5th and deciding game. Tom Hammond, Bill Walton, Steve Jones with you. Here are the starters for today. Remember, Charles Barkley now will not play, out for the rest of the season with an injury. Mario Elie starting in place of Matt Bullard in the Houston lineup. And for Utah, a lineup change too. Brian Russell replacing Adam Keefe in the starting five. Barkley with a torn triceps muscle is going to have surgery tomorrow. It's going to take about 5 months before it's all the way back to normal with his rehab. Got a hernia problem too. Barkley's going to have a long summer of rehab.
Tom, for the Utah Jazz, their keys are get the fast break game going, get the ball to Karl Malone every time early, capitalize on the lack of depth for the Houston Rockets, and then defend the three-point shot.
Well, the Rockets have a lot of history going for themselves. You know, 17-0 after winning the first game in the series. And what they want to do this afternoon, A, is match the energy of the Jazz at the outset of the ball game, and remember the horse, Olajuwon down deep.
Under Rudy T, the Rockets are 11-3 in elimination games. So even without Barkley, Rudy T hoping that part of a champion, which he so often brings up, will come through today. Joe Crawford, Bob Delaney, Danny Crawford, the officials, as the Rockets control the opening tap.
The Jazz have had a lot of trouble containing Olajuwon down low, but Russell, the guy that's been making the hustle play.
Ryan Russell's had an excellent series, earning the starting spot today. You remember he was the starter early in the season, asked Jerry Sloan to start coming off the bench, thinking he would improve his slow start. Olajuwon can't handle it. Foster has it for the Jazz. Stockton looking inside. There's the ball to Malone. Five to shoot. Malone's turnaround won't go. On the floor to Mario Elie.
2 shots early for Karl Malone. Neither of them going in, but that's fine for the Jazz. As long as he gets a lot of attempts, he'll work his way into it.
Drexler misses on the finger roll. Stockton leads the break. Malone got it. Right over Akeem.
This is the noisiest place in the NBA, and you know, the Houston Rockets have been here before. They know how to fight through it, and they're going to have to do it early.
4-on-2 break. Stockton, Malone, the finish. Fast break working for the Jazz. Karl Malone with 4, and Utah out of the gate early.
Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm in New York. As you saw, the New York Knicks beat the Miami Heat 98-81. So New York advances to the second round to play the Indiana Pacers. The league has released the schedule for the first 4 games. Tuesday and Thursday night will be at Market Square Arena, both games on TNT. Then games 3 and 4 will be Saturday and Sunday at Madison Square Garden, both of those here on NBC. Times to be announced. Let's go back to Tom Hammond in Salt Lake City.
All right, thank you very much, Hannah. Utah's taken 4 shots, all by Karl Malone. He hit 2 off the break, and Houston opens up 0 for 2. Just reacting to that New York-Miami score, what do you think Alonzo Mourning's popularity level is in Miami these days?
Rock bottom.
Foster rebounds to Drexler miss.
When you let your team down like that, it's very difficult to ever be able to look them in the eyes again.
Saw the series shooting percentage 45% and going up for the Utah Jazz. Stockton to Foster for the finish.
Tom, this is where Greg Foster can be really effective, moving away from the ball, because Akeem is going to zone up the middle. Stockton will find Foster every time.
Ball away by Akeem, finally gets Houston on the scoreboard.
What the Houston Rockets need to do is remember what happened to them in Game 4. Their crowd was explosive. They got a great lead, and they ended up coughing up the game. So they're going to have to stay close. They're going to have to fight through this emotional start.
Hornacek got the high kick and back through. Jeff hitting only 39% in the series. Got the good bounce there.
And got freed up by a magnificent pick by tough John Stockton, who's playing with a very sore back.
Akeem, double team, got it to Ellie. Back cut by Drexler, puts it in. Clyde Drexler, should the Rockets lose, will be bringing his 15-year NBA career to a close and will take over as coach of the Houston Cougars.
Tom, the Utah Jazz defense has been getting better quarter by quarter. They really, oh, what a pass inside.
Too easy. Russell from Malone.
Well, this is when the Jazz are scary, is when they get to shoot a lot of layups. If you force this team to become more perimeter-oriented, you have a better chance of controlling them. Looking for Olajuwon against Foster.
They've got him. Scramble. Malone and Akeem. This last touch by Carl.
Two of the best passing teams in the league here. The beautiful back cut by Clyde Drexler results in the layup. And then Karl Malone, who has become the best passing big man in the league, finding Brian Russell for the layup.
Well, he misses the floater. Fourth rebound for Foster, who's starting to come alive. He's been subpar in the series. Utah's hit their last 5 shots after Malone missed his first 2.
But it's the types of shots that they're getting. They're layups, and that's what Tom Donovich has got to be very concerned about. 4 on the shot clock.
Stripped. Maloney took it away from Stockton. 3-on-2 break. Ellie was spotted for the 3, but the pass was not good.
Terrific closeout defense by Hornacek.
Willis.
Well, Willis hasn't shot, guaranteed. He's looking for a way to get that one in the air. Drexler.
Clyde can't hit it. Hornacek tapping to Malone.
Greg Foster is very active on both backboards, Tom. He provides a huge emotional lift to this Jazz team.
Pass inside, and the first foul of the game called against the Rockets' Kevin Willis.
Tom, the battle underneath without Barkley is going to put a lot more pressure when Willis grabs there. That's the first foul. There's just no depth there. Othello Harrington is going to have to come in and play some minutes. But foul trouble for Houston could be devastating.
Might also see 41-year-old Charles Jones before the is out. Karl Malone has a half dozen points.
Well, when you get Karl Malone playing like this, it's virtually impossible to slow down the Utah Jazz in this building.
Hornacek broke it up. Foster to Stockton, 3-on-3. Malone knocked out of bounds by Drexler.
Karl Malone in that low box. He doesn't drive to the hoop nearly as much as he used to, but when this jumper is falling, Kevin Willis, a terrific defender, plagued, though, by the short arms, just unable to get up top with Karl.
He's had short arms all his life. I mean, all of a sudden he's plagued by him?
Should be used to him by now.
Well, a lot of guys have hit that jumper in Kevin's face there.
Hornacek for 3. Timeout Rockets, a 20. As, if you'll remember, began the game by Karl Malone missing his first 2 shots. Since then, they've reeled off 7 in a row. It was interesting, just before the final home game of the regular season, as the Jazz visited the Lakers, we were talking to Jerry Sloan, and we asked him about that home court advantage coming out the playoffs, and his answer was prophetic. Listen.
It really doesn't mean anything when you look at the whole picture if you don't get yourself ready to play every night. And each game is so critical to you. I think you've got to approach it as if though this is the last game you're going to play. And each and every game that you're involved in, if you take that attitude and realize that, hey, we've got to put all of our energy into this game. If you're looking for a home court advantage to be able to say, okay, we got this, and then we come back and play, then I think you're going to lose.
And sure enough, they did lose the first game of the series at home against these Houston Rockets. Managed to rally, though, to force the fifth and deciding game.
Well, the key for both teams has been the start of the ball game as Karl Malone, with long arms, picks up a foul against short arm Kevin Willis. So, and for the Rockets, they had such a terrific start, they gave it up. Both teams know that they can come back from good leads, and I'm sure Rudy's telling his team right now, guys, just calm down, get your emotions in check.
But Steve, as far as that home court advantage goes, you want to use that home court. You don't want to rely on it and count on it saving you at the very end. The Rockets have a good history of winning in this building. In the 8 years, the history of the Delta Center, the Jazz have lost 57 times. 10 of those times have been to the Houston Rockets, and they've been the most successful of all teams.
10-1 at home in the playoffs last year were the Jazz. Malone against Willis, lost it. Maloney pushing for the Rockets.
And they want to get a rhythm for high percentage stuff, so they're going to try to make the defense collapse and then shoot over the top.
Maloney got it back after Willis kept it alive.
Mismatch here, Willis against Russell.
And Kevin scores. Short arms and all.
The defensive strategy for the Utah Jazz. Jerry Sloan wants the double team to come on Akeem, and Willis, once the move begins. Oh, tough pass by Hornacek.
Great catch by Karl Malone, and then he knows what to do with it. That's 8 now for Karl. 17-8.
It looks like Karl Malone rode his Harley Davidson to the gym.
What we saw in game 1 against the New York Knicks is that you've got to have your big players scoring the basketball. You've got to make something good happen early in the ball game. They're going to call an offensive foul against Olajuwon.
It's a good call, Steve. Greg Foster right in there holding his ground. Akeem lowers his shoulders. Foster doesn't move, doesn't flop, and that's good defense.
What do you mean that's a good call? That must be a connection from UCLA. The guy was moving the whole time.
Akeem averaging 22 points, 11 boards throughout the playoffs. 9th in scoring and rebounding among playoff players. Hornacek, open 3. Right back to him. And he puts it in.
Tom, when you fake a pass, that freezes the defender. Hornacek thinking shot the whole time down the lane.
Pass from Willis deflected out of bounds. Houston gets it back. 13 on the 24.
Hornacek, who is supposedly in a shooting slump, felt that those were just good shots, didn't go in, was the first one to get his own miss, drops it back in. 7 early points for him. Look for him to be shooting the rest of the afternoon.
Brick by Willis, rebounded by Malone.
Karl Malone seems to have that anger burning and raging today, Tom.
It's game 5.
Rockets are going to have a hard time slowing him down.
Foster takes a long outside shot. Was that in the game plan?
That's a good shot right there.
That's a UCLA thing. I believe you're right. Ellie. First basket for Ellie. Makes it an 8-point game.
You know, the pace of the game is one that the Utah Jazz want to keep as quick as possible and try to tire out the older Houston Rockets, and that you'll see Jerry Sloan constantly push. And if the Rockets can slow things down, they'll get back in it.
It's a 9-point game, and Hornacek now makes it 11. Jeff Hornacek, you said, shooting only 39% in the playoffs, is 4 of 5 to open today's game. 9 points. Drexler can't answer with a 3. Malone, 4th rebound.
The good thing when Howard Isley comes in for the Jazz is that nothing changes. They keep the same plays, they keep the same push, the same style. And Isley sets almost as good a screens as John Stockton does.
Isley averaging 4 assists a game throughout the playoffs. Malone rolls out. Akeem is pushed out of bounds. Good call.
It's a late call, but it was the right call as they force him for a little finger roll, trying to squeeze it off, and he's going to come through some people trying to get the ball back. Olajuwon down.
Second foul on Karl Malone. As second one comes with 3:19 left in the first quarter.
Well, you look at Olajuwon walking back, it looks like he's been carrying about 500 pounds already. He looks pretty winded, but they're going to need him to play big, and that's got to start against those attacks. Drexler.
He's fouled as he takes it to the rim. Greg Ostertag into the game. And Antoine Carr is in as well for the Utah Jazz.
Steve, when Clyde Drexler turns the corner here and puts that head down, we've seen so many years, there is no stopping him. Uses his left arm to clear out a little bit.
Fella Harrington into the game for the Houston Rockets as Drexler misses the first free throw. Can't get to the game. Follow all the playoff action on NBA.com. Step inside the arena for full-time box scores, live shot charts, same night video highlights, and live audio from every game. That's it. NBA.com.
Clyde with a couple of misses there. He doesn't want to hear any talk at all about this being his last game, son. He said, hey, that's nothing but negative thinking, and that's not what I'm about.
He's only 1 of 5 to open this game and has missed both his free throws just a moment ago. Antoine Carr partially blocked. Maloney has it for the Rockets.
And if the Rockets are thinking against the second unit, they got to go power game inside. They come back to Fella Harrington. He gets his first 2.
The youngster from Georgetown with a pretty fall-away shot, and the lead is 9.
The Jazz will not waste time or energy trying to double-team Fella Harrington. Nice pass.
Hornacek. Drexler the rebound. Harrington again against Carr.
He
2 for 2.
He said maybe they ought to.
Might want to bring somebody. Inside the final 2 minutes, opening quarter. Jazz up 21-14. The original big dog, Antoine Carr, rebounded by Akeem.
Terrific interior defense the last couple of possessions for the Rockets.
Trying to go pick and roll with Elijah on Ellie. 8 on the shot clock.
Maloney penetrates to Drexler. Lost it on the way up. Lets it go at the buzzer, and that'll be a shot clock violation. Sputtering start for Rudy T and the Rockets. They trail by 7. The NBA on NBC. Jazz have never trailed, leading Houston 21-14 as we check in with Paul Sunderland. Paul?
Well, Tom, as you might imagine, Jerry Sloan not at all happy during that timeout. For one of the few times in this series, the bench has kind of let down the Jazz, but what he was most upset about was what he called defensive selfishness. He thought that the Jazz sensed that Houston was maybe not going to show up, was maybe going to be tired and stop playing team defense. He was really hot, as we have seen a time or two during that last 3 or 4 minute exchange. Back to you guys. Good to be with you.
All right, Paul, glad to have you. And yes, Jerry Sloan can get your attention.
Elijah gets a quick breather. Willis back in, but the Rockets a little confused with this half-court set. Harrington.
First miss in 3 attempts. Russell finally claims it for the Jazz.
Brian Russell, who was in the starting lineup today. It was kind of strange, I thought, because they've been playing so well with the rhythm that they had. Why not just stay with that? Tough pass there.
And picked off by Harrington of the Rockets. Houston with a chance to cut into the lead with only Hornacek and Russell among the starters for Utah on the floor.
Well, they're going to hold for 1 shot, and they're going to try to set up an exchange between Willis and Drexler. 2-second differential between game and shot.
Clyde, the glide, can't hit it. Isley trying to beat the buzzer for 3. Will go as the quarter comes to an end. Well, the shooting guards in favor of the Jazz. Hornacek with a hot start, hitting 4 of his first 6. And Clyde has been struggling. 21-14 after 1, the NBA on NBC. Welcome back to Salt Lake City, where the Utah Jazz lead the Houston Rockets 21-14 as we start the second quarter. Steve, you know, Akeem rarely says anything to his team. He's not real vocal in his leadership. But after practice yesterday, he did have a word with him.
Yeah, he did. He told them, look, guys, we were in the same identical situation 3 years ago. We came up and won the ball game. We got to have the same kind of confidence and a little bit of deja vu. Some pop outs going in from all kind of angles. And, you know, and I think they also got to find a way to get some cheap buckets.
Akeem just back from the locker room when his back was very sore. We have a report from Paul Sunderland. Paul?
Well, Hakeem Olajuwon had some problems with his back before the game. It was a war on Friday, was tightened up, got some treatment, got a massage, but then it tightened up on him during one of the previous timeouts. He just went into the locker room, has had it adjusted, and he's back. And he ran right past me and looked very, very comfortable. He's going to be back into the game as soon as Rudy T wants him.
All right, as we see Akeem on the bench. And Chris Morris quickly off the bench for a bucket for Utah. Their bench has been really playing well.
And Chris Morris was huge in Game 4 when the two guys, Hornacek and Brian Russell, had to go to the locker room for those stitches.
Drexler with another trip to the rim and to the free throw line.
Clyde Drexler's trying to make this happen, but he has really struggled for shooting in this entire series, Tom. When Drexler gets that head down, though, somebody's got to move their feet and get their body in front of Clyde rather than just reach in, or it's going to be a parade to the foul line for Clyde.
Clyde, who missed 2 free throws his first trip to the line, connects on that one.
You look at Clyde Drexler in the 2 series wins, he has been very, very good. The 2 series losses, just no shooting whatsoever. Clyde shooting 36% in the 4-game series so far.
In the first quarter, Houston hit only 33% of its shots, while Utah connected on 50%. And the Jazz winning the rebounding battle 12-9.
Well, the basic difference has been the types of shots that the Utah Jazz have been getting. They got a lot of layups early in the ball game, and the Rockets were shooting over the top. Howard
Isley over the short arms of Kevin Willis.
When we were at practice yesterday with Utah, the coaches, Gordy Chiesa for the Utah Jazz, really working with Howard Isley. That elbow jumper from the corner of the free throw line is wide open time and time, and he's got to take that shot.
Isley trying to get away from Brent Price. Carr's going to set a screen. And Price with a hand check of Isley. Here's Akeem returning to the game.
Always good news, even though the numbers aren't there yet for Akeem, but I think one of the 4 greatest centers to ever play this game.
Well, I mean, if you only take 1 shot, you shouldn't have a lot of numbers.
He's just getting started, Steve.
All right.
Give him a chance.
Right.
Throw him the ball.
Would he have 29 shots in Game 4? In fact, you said to him 30, and he said, no, 29. Isley wide open. Long rebound to Price. Drexler in front court. He'll shoot 2. Fouled by Chris Morris.
Well, it was collision all the way, and both players were preparing for it. Drexler got that early sprint. Brent Price spotted him. This is what the Houston Rockets need to try to get more of to get themselves back in the ball game. The Jazz have a very good half-court defense. They're up to pounding, bumping, and grinding, and it's going to be a game of easy buckets.
Don't forget, coming up next, Game 3 of our playoff triple header. Glenn Rice and the Hornets taking on Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Second round, best-of-7 series. Hornets and the Bulls in the nightcap coming up next. And what about the Charlotte Hornets? Swept in the regular season by the Atlanta Hawks. Come back and beat them handily.
Anthony Mason with a huge performance, and the guards came alive a little bit, so that's good. But now they're playing the Chicago Bulls, which is a different level of that.
A whole different story altogether.
A rested Chicago Bull team.
Morris, baseline drive. Try to pitch it out. Knocked out of bounds. Utah gets it back with 5 to shoot when we return to Salt Lake City. Timeout. Utah Jazz continuing to lead the Rockets. It's 25-17. Tom Hammond, Steve Jones, Bill Walton, Paul Sunderland at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. 5th and deciding game between the Rockets and the Jazz. And Utah leading 25-17.
5 on the shot clock.
Howard Isley with a clutch bucket up against the clock.
The screening for Utah has been perfect today. They are freeing guys up left and right. Jumpers going down from the perimeter.
Olajuwon faces up and shoots and scores over Greg Ostertag. And actually, Ostertag has played him pretty tough.
Ostertag has so much size. Akeem told me he needs to turn and face against a guy with that much length.
Chris Morris blocked by Akeem.
Akeem, the second leading shot blocker in the history of the NBA playoffs.
Antoine Carr reach in on Harrington.
Chris Morris is saying, you don't know my number very well. I I can run into Drexler, and that's a foul. They can't run into me. They get nothing. Antoine Carr picks up the personal foul. Morris and Carr both going to go out of the ball game. Russell comes back in.
And Karl Malone playing with 2 fouls back into the game.
And Rudy T quickly counters to bring in Kevin Willis to try to get more fouls. Karl Malone will not foul Othella Harrington.
Now, if you're Houston, you got to ride Olajuwon, find out condition of the back and exactly how hot he's going to be coming across the middle.
Bullard with a ball fake, steps up and hits.
Bullard really needs Akeem to have a big day to draw that defense in. A perfect spot-up shooter, Matt Bullard.
Rockets within 6. Russell, the open man, for 3. And rebounded by Eddie Johnson.
Tom Russell is way off. It often happens with young players. They think it's easy. They think, I made the last couple of shots. These are all going down.
Handed fall away for Akeem, won't go.
But Russell has been that way through the entire series. He's very streaky. He's missing early, and then he finds a couple of layups, and then the 3 goes in easily.
From Karl Malone.
The change of pace, change of direction by the cutters. Coming down the lane, little hitch on the cut as you set the screen wide open.
So the shooting for the quarter. Price and Anderson scrapping for the ball. Johnson got control somehow and got it through.
Yeah, there's a shooter. I can't catch it, but
That's right.
Well, Eddie had the big game here, 37 points.
Late in March, and Olajuwon didn't play in that game. Eddie Johnson is critical for Rudy this afternoon. He's got to make buckets. Shannon Anderson.
The matchup problems that Shannon Anderson and Brian Russell present for Houston. Clyde Drexler can play that type of game, but nobody else really for Houston. That kind of up and down athleticism.
Bullard, Willis driving on Malone. And Russell called for the foul, or as he reaches in, no, it just knocked it out of bounds.
Stripped him of the ball. Now, you see a lot of balls knocked away, but Shannon Anderson is very quick and a difficult matchup for Eddie Johnson. That means Eddie Johnson's got to be scoring the other way. Olajuwon with a miss.
But Bullard saved it for the Rockets. They'll set it up again. 7 minutes left till halftime.
I think, Tom, anytime you have a matchup problem and you can't guard somebody, you better be able to score against them. Otherwise, you're going to have to end up sitting down. Willis with 2.
And it's very difficult for Utah as they've been giving up some offensive rebounds to Houston. Karl Malone can't be the aggressor. He's got 2 fouls. He's got to save himself for offense.
Anderson. Double team. Malone has it blocked by Akeem. Maloney. Swipe by Russell.
Tom, has been the problem for the Houston Rockets all year. Foot speed and production from the point guard. Maloney unable to finish on a breakaway layup.
Now they're going to get Kevin Willis on the final comp against Karl Malone. They've been letting him play pretty good. But if you're Olajuwon, you've got to be mad at Matt Maloney. I swat that thing down there for you and you can't get a layup? Boy, oh boy, we got to talk about it when we come back.
Houston trailing by only 6 despite the injured Charles Barkley not playing today. Here he was as he arrived at the arena this morning.
He's the man who's going to fix my arm tomorrow. Best doctor in the world, unless he messes up.
And right now, Paul Sunderland is with Charles Barkley.
Well, Charles, we know what a great competitor you have been for a long time. Is this a slow death sitting over here not being able to play in Game 5?
It's very frustrating because I felt like we would have won Game 4, and this is a great situation of Game 5.
You're looking forward, well, poor choice of words. You have to have surgery tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're going to be out 3 to 5 months. Have we seen you play for the last time?
Well, I don't know, number one, I don't know the answer to that question, but you know what? If it is, I've had a great 14 years. I hope not, but if it is, I can't complain about 14 years.
All right, Charles, best of luck to you, and maybe get a little golf in the offseason after it heals. Hopefully it's not over.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, Paul. As Kevin Willis makes it a 4-point game, Charles Barkley non-committal about his future. Not only has the torn triceps, which will be operated on tomorrow, but has a hernia as well.
When the Jazz get layups, they control the game. When they're forced to shoot jumpers, then the Rockets have a chance to get back in it. Stockton is back out on the floor for Howard Isley, who had a pretty good run. Looking for Olajuwon.
Karl Malone has lost his control of this game.
Hakeem can't roll it through, and Malone clears the rebound. 5 boards for Karl.
Matt Bullard.
Another foul on Willis. Foolish away from the ball. 3rd foul for Kevin Willis. Playing short-handed. Needless. In the transition game. Underneath the basket, the little bump there by Kevin Willis, just knocking Brian Russell out of the way. You got to use your head in this game. Just ask Alonzo Mourning.
5 minutes left, second quarter. Malone turns. Can't hit it. Harrington with a rebound for the Rockets.
And the Rockets have done a good job in this stretch of giving the Jazz just one shot and a rebound. They're going to get a foul at this end of the floor. Greg Foster trying to bust through his screen.
First on Greg Foster.
Battling for the position here. Eddie Johnson comes on the run. Little bump there. Let that one go.
Is Greg Foster guilty of nothing today?
There was incidental contact on the move.
Kevin Willis said the same thing. They put him on the bench.
Brian Russell barely escaped the wheelchair.
Tough shot by Eddie Johnson as we revisit that Knicks shorthanded win in Miami. Allen Houston with 30. Stockton lost his footing, but got it to Malone, and one.
What it comes down to is the ability to make shots in tough situations, and this is as tough it's been for Malone here early in the ball game. Olajuwon committed to the block, thought he was going to be able to time it, and now it's a 3-point opportunity for Karl Malone.
John Stockton able to get the ball. Hakeem now with 2 fouls of his own.
Situation a little bit better for Olajuwon. 4:14 before the break, so if he's able to squeeze another 2-3 minutes in without getting a foul, Rudy will be happy.
Well, Hakeem is a player, Steve, that can play with fouls. But he's not guarding Shaquille or David Robinson today. Although I think eventually down the stretch he may have to guard Karl Malone.
He's been guarding him the last 3 times, looking for Olajuwon against Foster.
Takes it up and draws the foul. And Foster not happy with that whistle, his second foul.
Hakeem Olajuwon working down low, the great position. You give up that kind of position where he catches it in the paint, you're absolutely dead. And there's been a lot of talk about the surgeries for Charles Barkley that he's going to have coming up this offseason. Hakeem Olajuwon's in the same situation. He had a knee surgery and kept him out for half of this season. Well, now because of the overcompensation, he tells us today that as soon as this season's over, he's going to have surgery on his right knee. So it's going to be a lot of work for the Rockets to get their health back.
The Rockets have been getting to the line today, but with mixed results. They've hit only 5 of 9 free throw attempts. Utah's attempted only 1 free throw. And 2 misses by Hakeem. Still a 5-point game.
2 very explosive offensive teams with an incredibly low point production in the first half.
Now Charles Jones has come in to give fellow Harrington a breather.
Stockton misses. Wild pass by Hakeem. Johnson chases it down and scores.
That was a great outlet pass, Tom. That was over the top. Hakeem read it perfectly. And Eddie Johnson with a little bogart, little push just to get that defender out of the way.
Yeah, he was fast breaking to shoot that jumper. He knew he was never going to be able to get all the way.
Drexler fouled after he intercepts the pass. And Eddie Johnson into the game has hit all 3 of his shots.
Eddie Johnson is the kind of guy that, he feels it early. And his first shot, which he never controlled, went in for him. And since then, he's been thinking, get busy at the offensive end.
Back to the Houston free throw line in the person of Clyde Drexler. Rockets continue to struggle. They're only down 3.
These guys look like the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, the Lakers only shoot free throws like this in the playoffs.
And Clyde is 3 of 7. Missed 2.
The way these games have been stacked up, games 3, 4, and 5, is basically every other day, and now the even shorter turnaround with the day coming in, that works against the Houston Rockets.
Rockets are one of the best free throw shooting teams in the league.
It shouldn't work against them making free throws. Russell slapped away.
3 to shoot. Stockton blocked by Olajuwon. Shot clock violation. Akeem playing the D.
Akeem is just gobbling up everything inside. He's got at least 3, maybe 5 block shots, sending them all back. The Rockets right back.
I'm Hannah Storm in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll check in on the 3rd game of our triple header, the opening game of the Charlotte-Chicago series. We'll hear from Hornets head coach Dave Cowens as he gets his team ready for Michael Jordan and the 5-time champs. We'll also bring you highlights of the Knicks and the Heat, who met in a decisive Game 5 in Miami earlier today. Right now in Utah, the Jazz lead the Rockets by 3. As we send you back to Tom Hammond, Steve Jones, Bill Walton, and Paul Sunderland.
Thank you, Hannah. That score with 2:57 left in the second quarter, and the loser ends the season. The winner moves on to place the San Antonio Spurs. They'll face them in the second round.
And considering the great start that the Utah Jazz got and the poor free throwing of the Houston Rockets, they're right where they want to be with 2:43 to go.
Wild shot, another one by Eddie Johnson. Air ball, and the Jazz have it.
When you're as good a shooter as Eddie Johnson is, there's no such thing as a bad shot. Just get it up there. Something good is going to happen.
Nothing good happened that time. The air ball taken to the other end, and a Houston foul is called.
Well, the Rockets send the Jazz to the free throw line via the penalty. That is a tough matchup for Charles Jones. As many veteran tricks as he knows, he doesn't have the size or the strength to deal with the big fella down low.
Charles Jones, 41 years old, said this will be his final game if the Rockets should lose. Tonight on Dateline, O.J. Simpson's latest interview with the BBC made headlines. Now, for the first time, you can see the whole thing in a special Dateline exclusive tonight on NBC.
Karl Malone shot 53% from the field in the regular season, making him a serious MVP candidate. In the playoffs, he's only shot 44%. But he's made up for that at the line, shooting over 84% from the free throw line.
Now, Rockets looking for Olajuwon.
No basket.
Going to call a double foul. Eddie Johnson and Jeff Hornacek.
Double foul called away from the ball, but Akeem Olajuwon really has his game together today. The jump hook is going, the turn and face moves, the defense, which has just been awesome.
They didn't count the basket, so Olajuwon and the Rockets will have to reset and try to do it again. Same position.
Drexler with the entry pass. Olajuwon, jump hook. Same result as the one that was wiped out, and Akeem now has 6 points.
Probably saying should have gave me the first, but we wouldn't have to work so hard.
Well, this is a completely different Olajuwon that we saw down the stretch of the loss Friday night when he couldn't score.
Charles Jones with a foul of Karl Malone.
Well, this is worse than any bumper cars you've been in because you're Charles Jones and all those fouls are getting tagged against you. But he's getting the first shot on the way across by Karl Malone. Then he's trying to retaliate, and he just is not good enough. And the calls are coming right in front of the official. Karl Malone back to the line.
But Rudy Tomjanovich is just trying to buy time here with Charles Jones.
Karl Malone, the only Jazz player to have scored in the last almost 6 minutes.
John Stockton and Karl Malone, playoff career numbers. Huge number of games, great point production. Of course, John Stockton, the second leading assist man in the history of the NBA playoffs.
Karl misses the second one. Jones clears the rebound.
We should not go without mentioning the contributions of Charles Jones to the Rockets championships over the mid part of this decade when he was just so pivotal in a reserve role.
You're getting a little carried away.
His last game. Give the man a break. Stockton. Malone with a finish.
It's a big turnaround for the Jazz. Olajuwon right at the bucket and can't get his. And then Malone with the tough finger roll.
Turnover by the Rockets. Rockets, if they lose, could be seeing Charles Jones, Clyde Drexler, and maybe Charles Barkley for the final time.
I don't think Charles Barkley's going anywhere. At least I hope not. I'm sad and disappointed that Drexler's leaving. He's still got a lot of game left in him.
Foster fumbled it away. Nice defense by Russell to deflect the pass, but then Maloney saved it. Eddie Johnson rimmed out to Russell.
2 for 1 if they go really quick. Stockton loves to shoot a 3 in that situation. The Jazz perimeter defense is quicker than the Rockets.
Stockton finds Malone, takes dead aim, and came up short.
Greg Foster and a lot of the big guys are trying to front Akeem. And the perimeter Jazz defenders are really putting great pressure on the ball, making it impossible to get the ball inside to Olajuwon.
They're trying to hold for the last shot of the half. They're going to go inside to Olajuwon against Foster.
Ball movement to Johnson for 3, beat the shot clock. As the first half comes to a close with a Malone rebound. Karl Malone scored the last 8 points and a half for the Jazz. That was over 7.5 minutes. He kept them in front. 39-33 at halftime. Stay tuned for the Prudential Halftime Report after these messages. The NBA on NBC.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
It's halftime in Utah with the Jazz leading the Rockets 39-33. Low scoring first half for these teams. Karl Malone leads all scorers with 16. The winner meets the San Antonio Spurs in the second round. Hi everybody, Hannah Storm once again with Don Sally and Peter Vesey. We'll hear from these gentlemen shortly. After the Rockets and Jazz, we'll have game 1 of the Bulls and Hornets from Chicago. Charlotte beat Atlanta in 4 games in round 1. And yesterday, Hornets head coach Dave Cowan spoke with Dan Hicks.
Second time in the history of the franchise that the Charlotte Hornets have advanced beyond the first round.
If your bottom line doesn't improve, then you haven't. And this goes for individuals and teams. So if your team can get a little bit further in the playoffs all the time, then that bottom line is improved, and so have you.
Anthony Mason has been termed a tough player to coach. However, in his first couple of years with you, he's flourished pretty well. What's your relationship been with Anthony?
I think that he has a lot of that very aggressive demeanor to him, and as a player, he needs that. He needs to be a bull in a china closet. But he's a unique player because he can handle the ball so well and he's quick. And it really gives guys as big as him problems when he gets them in an isolation situation.
I'm used to be around people that want to put it away when you got a person down. You know, and that's just what I'm used to. You know, I didn't see that fire. I didn't see that intensity. He came out hitting, bowling, and all that, and we didn't respond.
You know, he has his ways, and I think the only thing I think is sometimes he's a little too tough on his teammates, and he, like me, he has to learn diplomacy in this lifetime.
There's one thing I would never do as a coach is say anything to Michael Jordan, not one word. If he wants to stare at me, I'm not going to say anything to him.
In the Nets-Bulls series, Michael Jordan, at the end of it, when the Bulls had finally had it clinched, looked over to John Calipari and gave him one of these, shh, the frenetic coach, you can finally be quiet. You're not going to give Michael any kind of that kind of ammunition in this series, are you?
I don't do that. I'm pretty secure
and who I am as somebody who contributed to the game of basketball. Game of basketball is the most important thing in all of this, and it should be respected as the mother lode, and we should do everything we can to promote that game and enhance the game. I think I know my place as a coach, and my approach to the game is we're going to try to take advantage as much as we possibly can, and we're not here to beat Michael, we're here to beat the Bulls. And you know, if we play a smart game, and we have to play a really smart place as a coach. And my approach to the game is we're going to try to take advantage as much as we possibly can. And we're not here to beat Michael, we're here to beat the Bulls. And you know, if we play a smart game, and we have to play really smart, then I think we have good chances.
1, 2, 3! No doubt! Yeah!
There's a chant that your players have before and after the game that says, no doubt. Where did that come from?
I don't know if I thought it up or somebody did down there. I don't know, but I thought it was good because it takes in so much. It should be no doubt about your game plan. There should be no doubt about who's going to win. There should be no doubt about the fact that we're in it together. It's just there's no doubt. Let's go out and do what we have to do.
Hey, 1, 2, 3, no doubt.
Well, Cowan's telling Dan that as a player, he was tough on his own teammates, like Anthony Mason is sometimes. He was tough on everybody. Is he like that as a coach, Peter?
You know, strangely enough, he's radically different. He's allowed his players to disrespect him in many ways. As it turns out, he doesn't stand up to them. He's not confrontational. And things got so bad at the end of the season, sources tell me, that the Hornets held a team meeting to clear the air. And the gist of it was, the players told Cowans, we want you to be tougher on us. We want you more disciplined, and we're not getting enough.
Well, he was publicly critical of his center, Matt Geiger, suffering from a hamstring injury. Geiger only played 4 minutes in the series against the Hawks. He felt perhaps that Geiger was protecting his status as a free agent, trying to avoid any risk there. And you talked to Geiger about their issue with that.
Well, I talked to Matt, and I asked Matt about his injury, and he told me, Sal, it really hurts. It's up high in his hamstring. And I had to explain to him who Dave was. I said, this guy played when it was canvas sneakers. When you get a bruise, you put spit on it, you just keep going. I said, he does not understand guys having pain. He thinks the most important thing in this world is playing ball, and he expects everyone to think like that.
Well, the two of them have since had a meeting. Geiger has practiced, and Cowan says expect to see him in action today. Tip-off for the game, 5:30. When we return, highlights of Game 5 between the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat. But first, a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. A look at Michael Jordan arriving at the United Center a short while ago. Game 1 of the Bulls and Hornets follows the Rockets and Jazz. In the first game of the day, the New York Knicks were in Miami for Game 5 against the Heat. Not in uniform once again, Knicks center Patrick Ewing. The Heat plagued by turnovers in the first half. And Allen Houston on the break for 2 of his game-high 30 points for the Knicks as they built a 16-point lead by halftime. They led by as much as 20, but Miami came back, led by Tim Hardaway. His three-pointer closing the gap to 2 early in the fourth. But the Knicks answer. Off the steal, Charlie Ward dishing to Charles Oakley. You'll see Oakley lay it in, and Jamal Mashburn called for a flagrant foul. A three-point play put the Knicks up by 10. They kept possession, and John Starks falls with a three-pointer, a big swing in the game that proved to be the knockout punch. The final, the Knicks go on to win 98-81. Here's reaction from both sides after the game.
It's well documented. We shot ourselves in the foot last year, and Miami came back and played very well and deserved to win last year, and I think same thing happened this year. The better team won.
They were far superior than us today, and you know, we did not have an answer for you know, the 2 and 3 spot. You know, John and Allen just simply had great games.
When they're at home, they really come out and make that first punch, and I think we really came out and then were aggressive and on the defensive end, and it got us going on the offensive end because we got some turnovers and some easy baskets.
Have to be careful how you use the word punch in reference to this series. Meanwhile, Pat Riley losing on a couple of fronts today, both as a head coach and also as a general manager. He has to question his decision on February 19th to trade center Isaac Austin to the Clippers for Brent Barry, a player who did not even make the playoff roster. He was injured, but Riley losing on a couple of fronts today, and something that clearly affected this series?
Big time. You can never have enough big guys, and the fact that there's not that many good big guys in the league was crazy for Pat Riley to even think about trading Ike Austin, and then to trade him for a guy like Brent Barry. Not that he's a bad guy, but he didn't do anything for him. And I know, because I talked to a couple of guys, I don't want to say their name because they will be in trouble, but it just shook up the morality of the Miami Heat.
Well, that was his insurance policy if Zoe couldn't be in a game, and he wasn't in this one.
This is the perfect illustration of why Dave Checketts, the Madison Square Garden president, wouldn't give Riley the personnel power that he wanted.
Riley wearing both hats, and he has no one to look to but himself here. And let's look ahead to the Knicks' next opponent, the Indiana Pacers. First of all, we spoke with the Knicks after the game, and here's the latest on the status of Patrick Ewing. He will be examined by team doctors tomorrow. After that examination, the doctors, in conjunction with Knicks president Ernie Grunfeld, will decide if Ewing can engage in full contact practices, something he has not done. Now, the Knicks have only one practice, and that is tomorrow, before Game 1 in Indiana on Tuesday night. Also a reminder, New York will be without Larry Johnson for Game 1 as he sits out the second game of his two-game suspension. Peter, just moments ago you spoke with Pacers president Donnie Walsh. How are they preparing?
They're preparing for the Knicks as if Patrick Ewing is going to play at least sometime in the series. And if he does, Walsh feels that it's better matchups with Rick Smits. They're more predictable because the Knicks have developed a real nice system, a small lineup without Ewing. To incorporate him into it now, I feel, Hannah, would be an injustice. I think it would distort their lineup and their rhythm that they have going.
Okay, meanwhile, the Jazz over the Rockets by 6, and we'll send you back to Utah for the second half right after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Welcome back to the Delta Center. Game 5 between the Houston Rockets and the Utah Jazz. Utah on top by 6. Had a chance to talk to Rudy Tomjanovich coming out of the locker room, and he was absolutely in love with the defense they played in the first 24 minutes. Was concerned in the first 5, but after that, the Jazz absolutely had no fast break opportunities, and offensively, he's telling Hakeem and Clyde, forget about missing the free throws, got to stay very aggressive. We'll make those free throws. We've been in the league a long, long time. For Jerry Sloan, just very, very unhappy with the Utah Jazz defensive energy, particularly in the second quarter. They keep track of deflections, had 9 in the first quarter, only 5 in the second. He was not a happy head coach. Back to you guys. Tom, Bill, and Snapper.
All right, Paul, as Foster fumbles it out of bounds.
Wait a second. The coach that's behind is happy, and the coach that's ahead is unhappy?
Well, that's what he said. And
I don't know.
An inauspicious beginning for the Jazz as Foster fumbled it out of bounds on their first possession, and Utah missing an opportunity the first series, even though they're very good, as you see, when they lead at the half.
Now, think about it. If you're Rudy Tomjanovich, they started this ball game down 11. They could get run out of the joint. Craig Foster picks up a quick foul. But, you know, he's got to feel good. He's got a chance to win the ball game now. If it kept at the same pace, we'd be going home by now. You'd be saying, what an awful game that was.
Hakeem is reading the Utah defensive rotations much, much better in this game than he did in Game 4.
Ellie bouncing off the defense, able to knock it through. Mario's 4th point.
It's going to be which players adapt to the physical contact down the stretch here. Or which player can do that?
Kevin Willis just punched the mailman's ticket. He said, go for it, big fella.
Shot clock against us now, trying to go to Olajuwon.
Misses, and Malone with a strong rebound. He has 10 boards. Foster, for the second time, fumbles the ball out of bounds.
Karl Malone, isolated up top, gets a little hitch against Kevin Willis. Willis playing with 3 fouls, throwing him down.
Drexler continues to struggle.
Well, both Olajuwon and Drexler are going to have to calm down and set their men up. Foster.
No fumble for Greg that time.
Foster is beating Hakeem up and down the court in transition. That's one area where he can be so effective against the great centers in the Western Conference.
Drexler is 1 of 9 shooting today. Willis against Malone, draws the double team, gets it back outside. Here's the re-entry pass. Slapped away by Malone. And then Willis returns the favor. Ellie, pull-up 3. Carl has his 11th.
And Rudy's over there saying, please, guys, don't get caught up in the emotion of the game. You got a fast break, but you can't get to the rim. Come back, you got numbers, and get a good scoring opportunity.
The Rockets have not made a three-point shot in this game today, and defending the threes is one thing that Jerry Sloan really wanted to get done.
Jeff Hornacek, of all people, muscles it in. And the Rockets see it start to slip away. They call a timeout. Jazz are up 10. They've hit all 3 of their shots this quarter. 45-35.
Miller Genuine Draft presents even more basketball.
When you're playing a game to stay alive, your big hitters have to really come to the game, and it's been a one-sided affair so far this afternoon in favor of Karl Malone.
Steve, with 2 of the best ever to play this game, it's been Karl Malone today in transition, working inside. Hakeem has had some moments here, but by and large, it has been Karl Malone throwing them down, and the Utah Jazz are off to the races. Now, Karl Malone today has had a lot more opportunities, and he's made more of those opportunities. He's pounding the glass. Remember, Karl, they love to place him on the weak side so he can sweep that defensive backboard.
There's no question. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to say that in recognition of this look inside the game, Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund.
In a game of this magnitude, though, Elijah One has to be more aggressive at the offensive end. There's no way that Houston is going to be able to win this game with him getting 9 shots.
Willis with a fall away. Greg Foster over Stockton's back, and Willis came up with it. Drexler for 3. Still can't buy one. 1 of 10.
The long rebounds, the loose balls. That's the key for the Utah Jazz. When they're getting those type of plays from Russell, Hornacek, Isley, Anderson, they are awfully tough to beat anywhere.
Well, the Jazz got a little room right now, and they're going to try to live off Malone.
Oh, Malone falling almost out of bounds with his 20th point. He also has 11 rebounds, 1 more than the top 3 Rockets. Willis, Hakeem, and Clyde Drexler combined, they have only 10.
The timing of the opportunities for Hakeem have just not been there. They've got to counter with Hakeem whenever Karl makes those big plays.
Hakeem rebounded by Willis. Finally, the Rockets get one down, snapping an 8-0 Utah run.
Right now to a patch where they don't seem to be able to find an offensive rhythm from either Elijah One or Drexler. They just got to find a way to stay close. By staying close, they got to stay within 10. Malone,
he feels it, and why not?
And Kevin Willis is having no success whatsoever. Karl calling the crowd down onto the court.
Hakeem misses again. Chases it down after Drexler kept it alive, and Ellie lays it in.
The Utah come right back to Karl Malone. Kevin Willis. Now Hakeem just said, I'll take him.
Stockton missed the layup. Here's Maloney the other way. Quick 3. Looked good all the way. Mark Maloney, and the Rockets needed that.
That is Matt Maloney's first score of the afternoon, and Rudy needs to see his guards get involved at some level at the offensive end. Stockton has been held scoreless so far himself. Going to be a foul against Ellie.
Karl Malone is scorching offensively. He is just stepping further and further away. But Matt Maloney in transition here, a little page out of John Stockton's book, pulled the trigger on the 3.
Matt hitting only 25% of his three-pointers in the playoffs, and Charles Barkley can only watch, trying to rally his teammates.
He can't even move that right arm. How sad.
Foster. Hakeem pulls it down. He has 5 boards.
7-point ball game, plenty of time. The Rockets have got to show some poise.
Willis over Foster. Suddenly the Rockets back in it, down only 5.
Well, Willis can get his offensive game going now that he's not having to worry about getting torched by Karl Malone.
Hornacek saved it to Matt Maloney. Ellie. Drexler drives on Stockton, who flopped, but then he missed the shot, and Stockton got up just in time to grab the rebound. Drexler intercepts. Can't hit the layup. Ellie with an offensive rebound. Boy, a nightmare game for Clyde Drexler.
Clyde Drexler, 1 for 12 shooting from the field. He was 2 for 11 the last game. He's 3 for 8 from the free throw line for a grand total of 5 points. John Stockton to the bench in the natural point guard rotation for Utah.
Hakeem. That makes it a 3-point game.
Tom, I sense Hakeem getting more into it once he took that challenge of, hey, I got to stop Karl Malone because Kevin Willis is not getting it done.
At one time, the Jazz had their biggest lead at 12 till Houston reeled off 9 points in a row.
Drexler steal.
Took it away from Hornacek. Numbers for the Rockets. Ellie, Willis got the roll. And the Rockets have closed within 1. Timeout, Utah. 11-0 run by the Rockets just when it appeared that Utah was going to put the game away. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Beautiful spring day in Salt Lake City, but the weather won't be the topic of conversation if the Jazz should lose on their home court in this decisive Game 5. Despite Hakeem and Drexler not playing well, not shooting well, the Houston Rockets are within a point. They've scored 11 in a row. Isley.
Tom, that is exactly the play that the Utah Jazz coaching staff worked on with Isley. The Rockets defend the pick and roll differently than any other team in the league. That elbow jumper always there for Isley and Stockton.
LA for 3. Front rim to Russell.
Terrible three-point shooting for both teams today.
And Hornacek with a baseline jumper.
The Houston Rockets have to be mindful after every one of those long misses that it's going to be a track meet to the other end. Olajuwon.
Good hands, Olajuwon. Howard Isley knocked it away for a moment. Hakeem got it back.
Tom, basketball is a simple game. You come out there, you see the other guy who's got the hot hand, and you've got to take him, you've got to challenge him. That's exactly what Hakeem has done, and he's got his team back in this game.
Jeff Hornacek breaking out of a shooting slump today, hitting 6 of 8, 13 points as the Rockets force Utah to turn it over. Three-point Jazz lead.
Now let's see if the Rockets got your message, Bill. Olajuwon's made his last 2 hoops, but they come back into him, give him a chance to go to work and score against Ostertag.
Back to Drexler. Re-entry to Olajuwon. Over Ostertag, and a beauty. 3 in a row for Hakeem. He has a dozen, and the lead is only 1.
Hakeem showing he's still got something left in that knee before he has it operated on. The Rockets have got to help him, though. They're not moving, and the slow, sloppy entry passes making him work too hard, Hakeem.
Malone over Hakeem. And the 2 superstars are starting to heat it up. Malone with 24 points. 4 for 4 in the quarter.
If you go back to the game in which the Houston Rockets won in '95, they were behind the entire ball game, finally fought their way back in it. Utah Jazz with a turnover.
Hornacek with the steal. Malone posting low on Willis. Facing on Kevin. And Willis, no shot, Joey Crawford says. Foul out on the floor. If it's Willis, it's number 4. It is.
Karl Malone, the reigning MVP in the league, calling for that ball. Says, just give it to me and get out of the way here. Akeem comes with a great block. The foul called on the ground before.
Well, free throws have not been a story in that either team has gotten a lot of attempts here in the third quarter of play. Penalty situation for the Jazz. Next, the Rockets have a foul to give.
Willis to the bench for those 4 fouls. Othello Harrington replaces him. And Malone, bullying his way to the basket, picks up the foul. Number 3 on Akeem.
Terrific drive by Karl Malone. The patience. He turns and faces. When you got a bigger, stronger guy, that's what you have to do. And Karl gets in the air, doesn't go for the double clutch, which Akeem usually gobbles up.
Olajuwon got that, but then also came down across the arm.
And a reminder, you can see more NBA playoff action tomorrow night on TNT. Game 1 of the Western Conference second-round series between the Lakers and the Sonics. That's tomorrow night at 9 Eastern Time on TNT.
Everything you say about defense is a reaction to offense, and Karl Malone has been the offensive igniter, going for 10 in the quarter.
And 26 for the game. Rockets got within 1, now back down by 5.
Tom, this game has just boiled down to Akeem and Karl Malone. Everybody else is standing watching right now.
Yeah, but they should stand and watch. If these are the guys that are making the baskets, let them go to work. Olajuwon loses it.
Isley got in to knock it away. Malone wide open, 15 feet. Karl now with 28 points. He had 29 in games 2 and 4. He has 28 with a minute left in the third here. Drexler blocked by Ostertag, excuse me. Hornacek. Rockets got within 1, and all that did was make Karl Malone mad.
Well, what happens is the ball gets stripped, and now they're going to go in transition. They're coming hard the other way, and you watch Malone is going to get, I know, he makes this jump shot, and then on the next play is when he gets ridden out of bounds.
On the very next play, Rudy Tomjanovich can't believe it, forced to call the timeout. But the bang that Karl Malone took by Hakeem Olajuwon, who was beaten in transition, that's what got Karl Malone really, really hot. And Akeem is exhausted, can't keep up with the pace right now.
Rockets closed within 1 point of the Jazz, and Utah promptly went on an 8-0 run.
It has been Karl Malone that has really driven his team back on top, and he is making all of the big shots, and that's why he is the franchise. And when you say they're standing around watching, you better stand around and watch. You better let him have his way.
Typical numbers for Karl Malone, the 4th leading scorer average-wise in the history of the NBA playoffs. Rockets need offense desperately.
Well, they needed a big game from Drexler, and he has had a nightmare shooting day. If this is to be his last game, it'll be one he wants to forget. Ellie's missed, tapped in by Harrington.
So Rudy's telling his guys, look, guys, if we can stay within that 5 to 6 mark, we still got a chance in the 4th quarter of play.
Big edge on second chance points for the Rockets. Isley for 3. 35 seconds left in the quarter. Matt Maloney holds up.
Great transition defense, the Utah Jazz.
Maloney. Rebounded by Karl Malone, and the Jazz can hold for the final shot.
If you drive the ball to the middle, Akeem, with his natural instincts to play the big center and close it up, that'll free up Karl Malone.
Isley spinning on Matt Maloney. Rimmed out as the quarter comes to a close. Houston got within one, but then Karl Malone went to work. And at the end of three, the Jazz leading the Rockets 61-54. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC. We start the fourth quarter at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City with Utah leading Houston by 7. How big has Karl Malone been today? Well, on two separate occasions, he took over the game. In the second quarter, the Rockets cut an 11-point lead to 2. Then Malone scored 8 straight points. In the third quarter, the Rockets cut a 12-point lead to 1. Malone scored 6 in a row. Fourth quarter opens with a Willis putback.
The Rockets going without Akeem Olajuwon as he desperately needs a rest here. Now it's Willis, Obella Harrington, and Eddie Johnson that have to slow down Karl Malone.
You don't have to slow him down as much as they have to get into the game at the offensive end. Russell for 2.
That's a 2. He had a foot on the line. Russell playing with those stitches on his left eye after the collision Friday night with teammate Jeff Hornacek. There's an unforced error. Brent Price just lost it out of bounds.
The lack of productivity out of the point guard for Rudy Tomjanovich just makes it very, very difficult to be successful against the Utah Jazz with Isley and Stockton.
You know, John Stockton has not had a John Stockton type afternoon so far. And he has been on the bench, but Isley's come in and done a wonderful job for them. And that's what a team needs. You got to find some way to pick up your energy level. Isley's done it for John Stockton.
Carr against Harrington. Here comes Price.
The second unit for the Jazz has great team chemistry. They know what they want. They get to it regularly.
Ostertag, a block. And as Harrington takes it back up, he draws the foul.
Rudy Tomjanovich told us yesterday, you know, my team's a little long in the tooth, and what I need is somebody to give me some energy, and maybe Othello Harrington can be the guy. He has been very active at the top of the quarter. They got to get some life into this team and give themselves a sense that they can overcome the crowd and the big effort of Karl Malone.
Harrington shooting here for his 7th point off the bench. Can't get it down. Don't forget, up next, Game 3 of the playoff tripleheader here on NBC. Glenn Rice and the Hornets against Michael Jordan and the defending champion Bulls. That's the first game of their second-round best-of-7 series. Hornets and the Bulls coming up next. Harrington hits 1 of 2. Keem still on the bench.
Jerry Sloan just rotated his centers. He brought Foster back in. I think saving Ostertag, who had a couple of nice defensive series there, but he's going to save him for when Akeem comes back in with a big burst of energy for the Rockets.
What about that 6 of 14 free throw shooting by the Rockets? Only 43% for the best free throw shooting team in the NBA in the regular season. Foster got his own, and the putback is good.
Now, that's the real reason that Jerry Sloan put Foster in. He's playing better than Ostertag at this point in the ball game, coming real hard at both ends of the floor.
And Isley doubling down on Willis, ties him up.
Greg Foster, who's been moving beautifully off of the ball today and aggressively goes to the hoop. No double clutch, able to finish on the stick back.
9:59 left in the game. Jazz 65-57. And Karl Malone's had the Rockets jumping through hoops today.
Karl Malone has played the complete ball game. He's out-thought and out-thought. Sets him up with the drive, and then when they respect that little jab step, he steps back and hits the jumper. Karl Malone, a complete power forward. The jumpers, 28 points, 11 for 18 shooting.
Also 12 rebounds and 4 assists.
A little bit of everything.
It might have been him in that suit coming down the steps on that bicycle.
I'm also really good at that bicycle deal coming down the steps.
I saw you practicing earlier today. The 7-footer Willis against the 6'2 Isley easily controls the tap.
It is only an 8-point game deficit for the Rockets, but it feels like it's about 15 because the game has been one of spurts. Harrington can't control the rebound.
9.5 minutes left. Isley. Came up short. Price gets.
The difference in styles here really become apparent in the fourth quarter when the Rockets stand around and try to go one-on-one.
Harrington and one as Foster fouls him. The young man Othello Harrington, who grew up in Mississippi but went to college at Georgetown in his second season, having quite a game off the bench.
Harrington doesn't know that they're supposed to be losing this ball game. He ran right down the floor, deep post position on Foster, got bounced, got it back. Now he has a chance for a three-point play, but the Rockets just keep trying to pull uphill, but they haven't consistently been able to get control of the tempo of the game.
Free throws there, 10 points, 5 rebounds now for Harrington. And Akeem has re-entered the game. Akeem on Malone. Double team, quick pass. Malone facing Akeem this time, shoots over him. Tapped by Foster, no good. And a loose ball foul.
Well, Ostertag is going to have his way at the basket because Akeem is busy denying Karl Malone.
Drexler did a good thing, though. There's Ostertag right at the rim. Knew if he got both hands on it, he'd probably get a score. He fouls him, comes out of the ball game. Mario Elie in.
Brent Price, second foul.
When John Stockton finally does get back into this game, he is going to be fresh as a daisy. He's only played 20 minutes today, John.
Price couldn't make the steal. 14 on the 24.
What you see with Anderson and Russell and White is that they're quicker, more athletic than Johnson and Mario Elie. They're having a tough time controlling them when they're coming down and across the screen.
Isley with a pull-up. Price claims it for Houston. 3-on-2. Eddie Johnson, that's a 2. When he had to make the catch, his foot went on the line. Still, he has 8, and the Rockets one more push back within 3. Russell missed it under pressure. Ostertag with the foul.
Olajuwon's got a one-on-one. He's got to go quicker.
Ostertag got a piece of it. Johnson couldn't hit. Malone, 13 rebounds.
Ostertag patiently just waiting with 5 inches over Akeem.
Russell for 3. Houston timeout. Jazz back up by 8. You're watching the NBA on NBC. The Utah Jazz have had an answer for every Houston run today, and Clyde Drexler, it could be a bitter end to a fabulous career. He's had a poor game.
Clyde can't even get in the game. That's how poor it's been for him. How sad.
Olajuwon. Ostertag got a piece. Olajuwon right back. Ostertag again a piece. Harrington can't score. Finally, Stockton has it for the Jazz. Russell. Bodies flying everywhere. That was Karl Malone that went down. And a Houston foul.
Karl Malone battling brilliantly, valiantly for that deep low post position with the wild shot taken by Brian Russell.
Kevin Willis suffered a bruise on his knee, just above the knee, actually. Went to the locker room and got a little brace to put on it, and back in the game.
Now, remember when we talked about Brian Russell early in the ball game being streaky, but he along with Shannon Anderson are the guys that energize, and they have been able to maximize that energy and come up with some big plays to keep pushing the lead between 8 and 10 points. The Rockets trying to come back with Willis.
Anderson missed that three-point attempt. Willis being double-teamed, threw it away right to Shandon Anderson, and he's immediately fouled by Johnson.
Tom, you cannot underestimate the defensive contributions of Greg Ostertag right now. And he's rejecting Kareem. He caused that turnover. Ostertag comes down, has been the scapegoat all year long, and right now he's making it happen on the defensive end.
Malone stripped, but right to Ostertag. Can't hit it. Carl tapped it out.
Shot clock at 8. Didn't hit anything. Russell
for 3. Brick.
What a great pass.
That didn't hit anything.
One to shoot. Malone got it away. Ostertag over the back will be called for the foul.
Now, the Rockets got to have some composure right now. They don't have the passing of Drexler out on the floor, so they've got to find some ways to be able to get easy shots. Once they throw it in the middle, they should have some quick cutting and quick hitting plays. They're holding on the ball too long.
Drexler set to come back in the game.
Greg Ostertag has 5 blocks.
Hakeem fakes him. Ostertag doesn't bite. Matt Maloney. They need some production from Maloney. He has 5 points.
Utah has generally been pretty good today, Tom, about defending those perimeter guys. They haven't been running by him.
Hakeem slapped it away for a moment. Malone recovers.
Shot clock at 7.
Russell, pick and roll. Ostertag. Just under 5 minutes, the lead goes to 8. Willis fouled by Malone.
Greg Ostertag making it all happen. First of all, sets the screen and then moves beautifully. And when I talked to Greg about it, his mental state and all the frustration that he's gone through this year, he said that his college coach, Roy Williams, his high school coach from Texas, his family, just been so supportive in the face of an onslaught of negative publicity this year for Greg.
Here's another, the 6th block by Ostertag. He admitted that Karl Malone was right when he criticized him for his work ethic. And the two now seem to be getting along famously.
They're hugging each other now.
Well, they were hugging each other before. I mean, Karl Malone is wanting Ostertag to be the best basketball player he can be and making these kind of plays on a consistent basis. Negative, he earned that negative. I mean, you get positive when you do good things, and this is, by his own admission, a big, lazy guy.
Willis has picked up his 5th foul. Barkley will have surgery tomorrow on that torn triceps.
It's got to be killing Charles Barkley that he cannot be in this game. The Houston Rockets were right there. They had a chance to close it out. That's all you dream for, is that chance.
And it looks like somebody's cut, and they're trying to make a decision about, and it's Karl Malone, and he's got some blood somewhere, and they're trying to make a decision about whether to stay on the floor or not, and they decide to get Olajuwon out now. Now timeout.
Rockets take the timeout. Comes with 4:34 left in the game. Winner moves on to face San Antonio in the second round. 72-64. The blood was coming from the little finger of Hakeem Olajuwon. See if you can find out what happened here.
Coming down the lane on this play for Ostertag, a throwdown, and right at the end, Olajuwon looks at his finger, so he got nicked somewhere. They have stopped the bleeding. He's going to come back out on the floor. Where they got to stop the bleeding is on that scoreboard. You know, he's got to get some numbers. 6 of 16. It's been a rough afternoon, and I think he's been trying to read the defense of the Jazz, and it's kind of affected his offensive performance. Karl Malone has torched the defense of Olajuwon, Willis, and whoever is in stripes for the Rockets.
Maybe that referees too?
Steve, the Rockets have trouble on both ends of the court right now. They're not stopping Karl Malone. Russell and Ostertag are hot offensively. And then Hakeem is not able to get his offense going because Ostertag is sending everything back inside.
Well, if Olajuwon, Drexler, one of those guys can get a little spark, it is a 9-point game. They still have a shot.
29 now for Karl Malone. 14 rebounds and 5 assists.
Pick and roll.
Maloney. Olajuwon had it deflected by Russell, and then commits the foul, trying to get it back.
Ostertag and Russell once again.
But that is where Russell has been so valuable. Just gets to balls, reacts very well. Olajuwon upset trying to get back the ball, picks up the foul against Ostertag. He'll walk through the line.
4 fouls on Hakeem.
Karl Malone getting tended to on the fingers. He's still got that heavily taped right middle finger. That's the one that's going to need surgery for Karl himself. Doctors will be very busy this offseason.
But Karl's hoping this offseason is a ways away. They need to win today to move on to the second round of the West.
All right, the guy that's got a chance to score some points in a matchup situation is Eddie Johnson. So somehow Drexler across the middle gets to the free throw line on the foul by Ostertag. Drexler's been able to get to the middle, but he hasn't been able to finish, and it's Karl Malone that gets him, not Ostertag, even though Ostertag put up his hand. That's the 4th foul against Karl Malone.
Steve, you rarely see Karl go in the air for a block. He almost always tries to strip you down low.
Another miss by Drexler. He has hit only 3 of 9 free throws. Tonight on NBC, a bizarre O.J. Simpson interview only on Dateline. Then an NBC original movie, the true story of Carolyn McCarthy, how she brought her husband's killer to justice, the Long Island incident. All begins at 8/7 Central on NBC.
Maybe that free throw will open it up for Clyde Drexler. He's been 1 for 13 shooting from the field today.
That has 6 points in 34 minutes.
That is the first point of the second half for Drexler. Russell.
Brian Russell continues his excellent playoff play.
When Stockton comes around that corner, Tom, everybody on that weak side for Utah on the move. Russell becoming a great finisher.
Hakeem faking Ostertag, who leaves the floor and picks up the foul.
What Russell has given them is a special kind of energy, and when you're young and you can fly like this, you can overcome and make up a lot of things in midair, and he's able to adjust and get this one to go down.
You guys remember when you were young and could fly like that?
I can't remember back that far, no, Tom. I remember being young and seeing Steve fly through the air, though.
Well, when you were young, you probably had some stitches on your eye, too, like Brian does from that collision with Hornacek. Hakeem, 13 points and 9 rebounds, only 1 of 3 at the line.
You can see a confident smile on the face of Karl Malone.
Stockton, he still hasn't scored in the game. Stockton averaging 14 a game in the playoffs. Then he'll go to the free throw line. Now, Stockton in the regular season hit 83% at the line, but in the playoffs, only 59% free throws.
We talked this morning, Tom, about it has not been real special for the Utah franchise players, John Stockton and Karl Malone. It's been the other guys who have got them to this level. Now,
Stockton averaging 14 a game in the playoffs. And he'll go to the free throw line. Now, Stockton in the regular season hit 83% at the line, but in the playoffs, only 59% free throws.
We talked this morning, Tom, about it has not been real special for the Utah franchise players, John Stockton and Karl Malone. It's been the other guys who have got them to this level. Now, Karl has been very, very special today. And I'm not worried about John Stockton at all. He'll be just fine. And with a 12-point lead, things looking very sunny on this spring day in Salt Lake City.
First 2 points of the game for Stockton. He has 9 assists, 2 turnovers. Jazz with their biggest lead in the game. Drexler lost it.
Run some clock here. Milk it.
Hakeem says milk that.
Well, Hakeem has got just a ton of block shots today.
You know, they only gave him 2 at the half, so we're keeping a different record than the official score.
Coming in today, Hakeem only needed 15 more blocks to pass the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for #1 all-time in the playoffs.
Already #1 all-time regular season. Ostertag got a pretty good push in the back and a Houston foul.
The pride is there, the effort is there, but the results are not there for the former champion Houston Rockets. They have tried everything that they possibly can, but they have not been able to get the job done.
The way Malone's comments, well, never mind. Never mind.
Just change that thought.
I was going to say Karl ought to take up motivational speaking and worked on Ostertag, but check in with Shaq for some free throw shooting coaches.
Hey, they're going to need Ostertag because if they hold on and win this series. A block again.
Ostertag rejected the dream. 7 blocks for Ostertag. Stockton missed the layup. Maloney has Johnson. Pull up 3, way off. Ugly shot, but saved inbounds. Drexler with a save. Patented. Ball away baseline, Hakeem Olajuwon.
We talked about the importance of Ostertag as Utah is just going to hold on here. If Utah is going to get back to the finals, they're going to have to go through San Antonio next with Robinson and Duncan. Then quite possibly Shaquille O'Neal. They're going to need Greg Ostertag to be at the top of his game all the way through.
Stockton tried to pitch it back to Malone. 5. Why not? He's done everything else today. Why not that running over-the-head hook? 31 for the mailman. And it looks like this will be the final game for Clyde Drexler of the Rockets. Clyde the Glide first caught the eye of basketball fans when he played at the University of Houston, where he will soon take over as their head coach. With the Cougars, he and his teammate Hakeem Olajuwon led their Phi Slamma Jamma to 2 NCAA championship games. His 12 years as a Portland Trailblazer capped by a trip to the NBA Finals in '92. And that summer, he earned an Olympic gold medal in Barcelona as a member of the legendary First Green Team. Then united with Hakeem on the Rockets, won an NBA title in '95, and maybe the greatest honor of all, one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history. Next stop for Clyde Drexler, the Hall of Fame.
It's got to be disappointing for Clyde, but as you said, Tom, one of the truly great players, more importantly, better people in this league.
Asked him when his career was finally over what he would do in his first move as the new University of Houston coach. He said, item 1 would be sit down with the existing returning players and let them know what his program was and take it from there.
the game of basketball the NBA game will certainly miss Clyde Drexler.
Johnson misses. Ostertag had it stripped away for a moment. And Malone saves.
Rudy T calling for the foul, but
Houston has hit only 1 of 12 from the three-point arc today. That's a huge factor.
Well, if you go back to the top, Tom, when we talked about what the Jazz needed to do, they needed to get the fast break going. They did that. They needed to get Karl Malone involved very early. Then they needed to defend the three-point shot. They've done all of those things beautifully today, and Greg Ostertag has really helped them defend the three-point shot because they haven't had to come down and double team.
Ostertag with 6 points.
A lot of, whether you can pull off the impossible dream is how you start a game. And the Rockets got off to a very poor start. They never really did get up on the scoreboard. As Ostertag, again, 1 of 2. And every one he misses, one is short, one is good.
2 years in a row, the Rockets so close, yet eliminated by the Utah Jazz.
Willis blocked by Malone. Can't save it. Almost sits in our lap.
Well, he wanted that one for good measure and a chance to really bring down the house and the crowd. The Rockets will take one more timeout.
Well, 2 years ago when Charles Barkley joined the Rockets, there were great hopes as he joined Hakeem and Clyde Drexler, and really injuries have prevented that from happening. So it looks like the Jazz will move on to face the San Antonio Spurs in the second round. The Jazz took 3 of their 4 regular season matchups against the Spurs. San Antonio won the first game behind David Robinson's 28 points. Utah, though, won the next 3. Karl Malone led them in scoring in each game. And you remember that final game last month, Malone's elbow to Robinson's head gave the Admiral the concussion and earned the mailman a 1-game suspension.
Well, Tom, in that upcoming series, San Antonio, Utah, the elements, as you see the regular season scores, the last 3 won by the Jazz. The elements, Karl versus David Robinson, Avery Johnson, who's playing the best basketball of his life against Stockton. The wild card is where does Tim Duncan fit in there and how well he's going to be able to do.
A wild card?
Wild
He's
card.
been killing people, and all of a sudden he's a wild card?
This is the Utah Jazz they're playing right now. This is a great, great Utah defensive team.
I can't wait till we get down there next week.
Speaking of great teams, the Chicago Bulls are up next as they host the Charlotte Hornets in Game 1 of their second round series. Coming up next, Michael Jordan and the Bulls against Glenn Rice and the Hornets here on NBC. Trying to shout over this crowd, the voice is about to go.
Well, Tom, you hung in there, but this is a very, very difficult place to keep your voice in. This is the noisiest arena in the NBA, and the Jazz have made sure, with spurts by Karl Malone, Russell, and different hustle plays, that they've been able to keep this crowd right at a pitch that gives them a big advantage.
Utah has led from the opening basket of the game, and now 51.7 seconds remain. Twice the Rockets made a run, got within 1 point in the third quarter, but then the mailman took control. Maloney.
The Jazz did a terrific job here in the fourth quarter, Tom. 0 turnovers for Utah down the stretch here. They only had 7 through the first 3 quarters, but then did not turn it over at all as the Rockets were charging back time and time again.
Well, you tie a ribbon on the afternoon. In the first ball game, we saw Miami with the inability to make baskets. You cannot go 7 minutes, 20 seconds with 2 field goals and think you're not going to give your opponent the lead. The Rockets fell into it after getting within 1. They stopped making baskets. Karl Malone took over, and it's been a slow effort.
And here it is, Clyde Drexler leading an NBA game for the final time. And the basketball-savvy fans here in Salt Lake City give him a standing ovation. One of the great guys, one of the great players, Clyde Drexler.
He's really done it all, too.
Roderick Rhodes to Hakeem.
The There's the guy that's done it all today, is Karl Malone.
Johnson fouls Stockton. John Stockton for 2. 10 assists for John today, only 3 points, but 10 assists.
John's playing with a very sore back.
And Stockton connects. Seconds left. Sort of sums up the day for the Rockets. Rhodes missing on the pass to Akeem. As Adam Keefe comes into the game for the first time, a man who has started most of the season. And listen to this. Karl Malone hears it from this crowd. 31 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists for the mailman today. And that'll do it. The Utah Jazz win the final 2 games of the series and move on to the second round to face the San Antonio Spurs. Karl Malone, 31 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists as the Jazz win 84-70 over the Houston Rockets. Jeff Hornacek today with 15 points, breaking out of a shooting slump, hitting 7 of 9. Stockton with 10 assists. Ostertag with 6 blocked shots. And Brian Russell continues his good play with 10 points and 8 rebounds. So the Utah Jazz, a little tougher than they expected, perhaps, as they lost game 1 here on their home court and have to scratch back, facing a possible elimination Friday night in Houston, winning that game, and then coming up to take the 5th and deciding contest here at the Delta Center today. And let's go down to Paul Sunderland.
Always the war, of course, when you take on the Houston Rockets. Why was it so hard for you to put these guys away today?
Well, you guys keep talking about those guys are 8 seeds. Those guys are not an 8 seed. I don't care what conference they're in. They got a great team. They won championship before. But the most important thing, we always believed in ourselves when nobody else did. We did what we need to do. It was a great series for us to get ready for the next one because it's going to be a tough one too. But like I said, I think the guys stepped up tonight and played great. Those guys not a number 8 seed. You guys said they were, but they're really not.
Well, we have a lot of respect for Houston. We knew it was going to be a tough series. Now we got to get to Greg Ostertag. And Karl, you've heard it 1,000 times. What turns you on today against Hakeem? And you know you got to keep it going now that you got the Twin Towers going.
I don't know. You know, I've always, since I've been in the NBA, I've had a knack for stepping up against bigger name opponents. And, you know, maybe it's these guys present a special challenge to me that, you know, show that I can defend these guys. And, you know, Hakeem's a great player, man, and he makes you work for what you get on defense. But, you know, at the same time, it's my job to make him work what he gets on offense.
All right, Greg, thanks very much. Now let's send it over to Steve Snapper Jones with a special guest.
All right, Paul, we're here with Clyde Drexler, all of the fans standing here acknowledging all of your play over the years, and I'm sure that now it's sunk in, you played your final game.
It was great. I think tonight's game, we just didn't have it. We had some chances, even though we weren't playing well, but just couldn't pull it out. You got to give the Utah Jazz credit. They're a good team.
Well, again, what you guys showed is that you don't quit easily, and over the course of your career, you've been in this situation before. You weren't quitting this afternoon, but you just couldn't make it happen.
No, just couldn't make it happen. I think the schedule and the long minutes caught up with us, maybe the lack of depth, but whatever it was, we just couldn't get it done tonight.
All right, of one thing that stands out the most in your career, what would it be for you?
I think standing right here with you, Snapper. One of my good friends sitting here in my last game discussing it with Snapper. Now, that's a highlight.
All right, Tom Hammond, we'll take that. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Drexler, it sounds strange, doesn't it? One of the all-time greats, over 20,000 points, 6,000 rebounds, and 6,000 assists. So Utah advances. For Bill Walton, Steve Jones, and Paul Sunderland, Tom Hammond saying so long from Salt Lake City. Now let's go to NBA Showtime in Hannah Storm.